Hi, my name is Jeff Moore. I live at 1111 Via Veracruz in San Marcos, California. When we relocated from Kentucky to California, we knew that we had to do something about water-wise landscaping. We started this transformation probably about 2 years ago, where we replaced the lawn and started going into depth with the garden and try to figure out what would be best suited for this area. We heard about the landscape contest through Facebook, actually. We get a lot of their information, and we found this and thought it would be a great idea. We also used many of the great incentives that the Vallecitos Water District and the Metropolitan Water District, San Diego Water Authority offered to us. So when we first came out to California, we noticed that the water was not doing very well. It was actually going down the hillside. We noticed that Vallecitos offers a free opportunity to have your landscape looked at through the Missions Resource Conservation District. What they do is they send a qualified irrigation specialist to your home, and they'll actually survey your property, and he looks over your landscape, determine how much water is being used for each zone. And the guy actually spent time with us going over the controller to set the controller to what would be best suited for our hillside. Instead of me actually throwing money down the drain, literally, I was able to keep my water where it belonged, and that was on my lawn. And I also found WaterSmartSD.org and found a lot of these rebates available to us. We got rebates on the rotary heads, the smart controllers, and I also found classes that were available to me. I went to 2 of the classes that had landscape and talked about watering and everything else. So we've actually reduced water consumption for just landscaping by 75%. We do have drip irrigation, we do have micro sprayers, and I do also have rotary heads that reduce the water flow during that same period of time that a sprayer would use. The best features of the garden that I'm most proud of is how we've been able to learn about succulents and learn about the landscape and how it's transformed over the short period of time that we actually had it. I really think that for the environment, this is the best way to go about things. But I think the biggest thing was the education process. I learned more about these succulents as time goes on. It's a work in progress. It's still a growing garden, and I highly recommend taking the time to really understand the options that are available to people to reduce the amount of water flow for just a basic lawn to something that may be more beautiful and more attractive, in my opinion. It gives me the opportunity to show my personality more than just a plain lawn, so I highly recommend it. Very little maintenance compared to mowing a lawn, edging a lawn, watering a lawn. It's really kind of a work in progress. It's just like a canvas, so to speak, that I'm able to work on these gardens and enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Dennis Root. I live at 247 Muirfield Way here in San Marcos. And this is my wife, Shannon. We've been here 20 years in San Marcos. In 2015, decided to redo the landscape in our front yard and make it water conservative. And took a little while to study, try to figure out what plants are going to work for us. A couple of weeks ago, Lisa, public information officer over at Vallecitos Water District, came by and was driving around the neighborhood and through the cul-de-sac. And she spotted our yard, knocked on the door and said, "Hey, would you like to participate in the contest this year?" I said, "Well, sure. The yard's matured out since we planted it, so we thought it'd be a good fun thing to showcase and help other folks in the neighborhood."
So the reason we decided to install a drought-tolerant landscape was due to the drought that we've been having.
One of the things that really prompted us to tearing out this old grass lawn we used to have was the fact that MWD had a turf rebate program.
Vallecitos Water District actually had a seminar one afternoon that we attended, and they showed their drought-tolerant landscaping around their offices, and we started doing some investigation at that point. So we were one of the first homeowners in the neighborhood to install the drought-tolerant landscape. And 3 years later, we've probably got 4 other houses that are installing a drought-tolerant landscape. There are several features of this garden that I really like and that I'm very proud of. One is that we are drawing in lots of wildlife, birds. We've got a ton of lizards running through the garden all the time. The hummingbirds are constantly visiting. We have a lot of bees. Just so much different from a lawn, and fun to come out here and just sit and watch what's going on.
Our watering schedule is about 2 times a week for maybe about 5 minutes each session.
We've saved in our usage going from 17 to 20 units of water to about 4, 5, 6 units. So that's been a really big advantage of this type of garden.
Hi there, my name is Rhonda Holmes and I live at 1316 San Julian Lane, and that is in the Lake San Marcos area of San Marcos. We transformed our landscape in conjunction with a remodel we did over the past year or so. It was completed, I'd say, back maybe late January, and what we did was remove all of the natural grasses and thirsty plants, if you will, and replace them with some DG paths, walkways, and the turf, and plants that are much more water-wise, native, and drought-tolerant. The thing that inspired us most to change our lawn and landscape really was twofold. One, to make it beautiful and aesthetic in a way we like. Number two really was to be more water conscious. We see when we're driving through the neighborhoods lawns that have sprinkler heads that are misting the streets, and we wanted to design a landscape plan and a garden that was smart and didn't waste water. Both of us are planning to live here in California and in San Diego County, North County, the rest of our lives, and we want to do our part to conserve water and hopefully encourage others to see that you can have a beautiful garden and a beautiful landscape without wasting water. I'm super proud of the work we did here at the house, in particular our efforts to stay very water conscious and use drought-tolerant native plants. I thought it was exciting and a fun way to show off the landscape and hopefully encourage neighbors and friends and other Vallecitos Water District customers to develop and maintain more water-conscious landscapes. The features of the garden I'm most proud of, number one actually is the artificial turf. I'm in love with it, in part because it uses no water. I have had experience with lawns, and lawns are very water needy to maintain a beautiful lawn, and using turf in place of a natural lawn I think is a super smart way to have a nice, clean, beautiful look in your yard without using any water. Well, this is our bioswale, and it's integrated into our drainage system. So water drains down through the spout into the bioswale and filtrates through the earth. The way the bioswale system helps with the storm drain system is it keeps water from being emptied into that storm drain system. I think what people don't realize is that all the pesticides and fertilizers and chemicals we use on our plants, if we don't do something like a biofiltration system with those chemicals, they end up leaching out into the streets, into the gutters, into, for example, the golf course here, which then end up in our oceans, lakes, and for example in Lake San Marcos. I don't think people really appreciate how all those chemicals end up there unless we do something smart and leach and filter them through a natural system like a bioswale or something similar. The only thing I do really to help against pests and whatnot is I trim back the plants. I allow really nature to do its job. The lizards that love the property because it's a more native, natural environment, they end up eating the little pests like aphids. I find that it's more efficient just to cut off diseased limbs rather than spray with a bunch of chemicals. And truth be told, when you plant native plants that are drought tolerant and are native to the area, they're so disease resistant that you really don't need to use anything for them. Since we transformed the garden, we have seen quite an increase in wildlife, and particularly birds, skunks, raccoons, lizards. The birds are the most interesting part of it, I think, because now I see them nesting nearby. We get red-tailed hawks, mallards, a bird nesting in our birdhouse here. So we've seen quite a change and an influx in more unique and interesting wildlife since we made the transformation. The most important message I would like to convey to other Vallecitos Water District customers really is you can do a lot in your yard for not much money to accomplish two things. One, make it really beautiful, and two, more importantly, to conserve water. You can replace natural lawns with turf. You can replace certain flower beds or shrub areas with DG, which comes in all different colors and looks. And you can have smarter irrigation systems that water on a per plant basis, for example, a drip system, as compared with something that sprays and wastes water. And all of those things are really easy to accomplish, and most people at any gardening center are happy to talk to you about it, or something like Hunter or an industry that sells irrigation systems are more than happy to educate us on how to accomplish those things. And it's really easy to do, so I'd love to see more people get out there and try to do their part.